And in terms of the support that schools might need or that teachers might need in schools in order to implement good practice on the tech side, do you find that it's often the better resourced schools that have the most access, or are there opportunities for schools that are perhaps still underfunded but who are able to make the most of it?
Yeah, that's a big question, I think. I mean, schools that have a lot of resources probably have more opportunity. Schools that are under-resourced, if they've got the right people or the right connections to people that have good influence, can do a lot with less resources. It's not necessarily always about having the latest, greatest technology and having, all of it in place all the time. I think, I've seen some fantastic examples of teachers where they might just use one device and they've used it in a way that's engaged students, or they've targeted a specific student in the class to give them a new opportunity. And I think when you can demonstrate it in that way, the school will find money from other pots of money. It might not necessarily always be technology budget, to be able to extend it out. Research informed schools are gonna think deeper about what they're doing with their money. So there's two angles. If you've got a lot of money, you've probably got lots of technology, you'll find a use for it. If you haven't got a lot, find a use for it and then prove the point so that other people have access. But it's always down to knowing what you can do with the technology and understanding the depth rather than just having technology, because a million devices in a classroom isn't going to change anything unless you use it effectively. So
that's definitely something that we're looking at with Good Future Foundation. Of course, when we set up the nonprofit, it was all about addressing digital disparity, but that disparity wasn't about access to, in this case, AI, because anyone with a smartphone has access to the technology. The disparity is the headspace and the capacity to think through what responsible implementation looks like. How much time are you able to spend at Jamf on that responsible implementation? We'll get on to AI in a second, but just more broadly on the tech side.
I think a lot of our messaging is around purposeful deployment, and it's about not just randomly putting devices out there and hoping it works, but making sure that there's a real connect between IT, leadership, classroom teachers, curriculum, so that there's a clear avenue for what the technology is going to be used for, and that there's thought behind it. So, not just the tools that are being used, but the training that supports teachers to be able to use those tools effectively. When you talk about disparity and gaps in anything, sometimes when it comes to technology, you've got people that like using technology and those that don't like using technology. So, even if you flooded a school with devices, you're still going to get people that are a little bit like, I'm not quite keen on using it. So having that purpose-driven approach means it's not about having a device, it's about what the device can do. And I think that's really, really critical. So from Jamf's point of view, we're really keen to make sure that we remove any of that kind of headache that can be caused, to make sure that IT have what they need, teachers have what they need, but also we consider the curriculum kind of approach to making sure the right tools are on the device for the right learners at the right time, because that's really, really important. That those teachers that might have a few concerns about bringing technology into the classroom are catered for as much as the ones that are running down the road with it and doing all sorts of crazy things, because you can over rotate to lock everything down and that annoys your innovators,
Right.
or you can open everything up and then that worries your kind of more concerned educators. So balancing that out is a real critical thing, and that's what we really try to consider at Jamf and try to educate people around.